How to make money as a notary step by step. I'm trying to make this as simple as possible for you guys to understand because it's not that hard understanding like the framework of the entire business. So let's just start with the basics. Let's start with number one. How do you make money as a notary? More specifically, a mobile notary. First things first, you need to understand the basics of becoming a notary. You need to understand what a public notary is, how to become a notary, and you need to get your commission. A lot of people jump in the phase of, all right, I'm going to do all this research on social media, doom scroll on TikTok and Instagram, and they never actually become a notary. So the first thing I'm doing is understanding my state laws, and then how to get my commission, and then I'm getting my commission. First thing you need to do, get the easy part out the way, because most people aren't going to even get that out the way. All they're going to do is talk about how they want to become a notary and then not even actually complete that. Next on your list is exploring all the types of services you could do. You're going to want to know what the easy services are. You're going to want to know what the harder services are. You're going to want to know what the cheaper services are and what are the other services that you could pay higher price points for. Like, what are more expensive services that I can charge in order to make more money as a notary? One of the favorites that I love to do is estate planning because you can charge a little bit more, or apostilles are good because you can charge a little bit more, and fingerprinting is, and then general notary work will be more on the lower end because sometimes those are just like one-off documents that aren't really specific. So you need to know what the high demand notary services are and knowing, all right, what can I actually charge? Which moves on into the third point. At that point, once you have your commission, you know the services that you can provide, especially the higher tier services, you want to go into understanding what the fees are. And the best way to explain this is what my mentor told me way in the past. And it's just not just for the notary business in general. You charge more based on your confidence level. As you become more confident, you can charge more because the only difference that's stopping you from charging $50 and $150 is just you thinking that what you're providing is not valuable enough to be $150. But as you gain confidence, you slowly start to raise your prices. That's something that I did. If you want to shortcut it, just go ahead and start raising those prices as soon as you can after you understand the documents. So after you get your commission, after you know what your high demand services are, after you have your notary rates and your fees, then you start learning all of those documents. Now you know how to do each one of these documents. But going back to how to set your rates, just to give you guys a little bit of sauce in this video, I can't go too far in depth because I want to give you as much value as possible in this. But what you want to do is type in your zip code and look at all the notaries around you. So let's say you're in Manhattan. You want to type in mobile notary in Manhattan, or type in mobile notary and put in your zip code. What you're going to get is a Google My Business of all the people inside your area that provide the same services as you. What you want to do is get to that top 5. Google My Business, top 5. That's what you're earning for. But before we even get to that part, once you have those people, the top 5 people, you want to open them up in different tabs and look at how much each of them are charging for their services. After you do that, you take the average of what they're charging for a particular service, place yourself right there. What a lot of notaries try to do is they try to be the cheapest when they get into the industry. Why would you do that? What's the point of starting a business to be the cheapest person? No, you don't want to be there because the cheaper clients give you the most headaches. What one of my other mentors used to say, you want to stay away from them peanut clients. Peanut clients meaning the ones that pay the cheapest. The ones that pay the cheapest give you the most problems. The one that pay more, they always give you less problems. Why it works like that? Yo no sé. I have no idea. No idea. But yeah, you're going to want to set those rates, and then you want to learn how to do those documents. At that point, you know how to do all the most important things. You know how much you cost, how much it's worth. You know what type of documents, and you know how much you're charging for those documents. Now you can do all the fancy business stuff that people like to do in the beginning. When people start to jump into a business, especially the notary business, they want to worry about their LLCs and all that other stuff, but they don't even have their commission yet. Why are you worrying about an LLC and you don't even have a commission yet? Slow your roll, rewind, do all that other stuff I said first, and then you're going to move on. At this point, that's when you start worrying about all the technology in your notary business. Sorry if I'm looking over here at my notes, but this is when you start looking at all the technology in your notary business. This is when you worry about, all right, I need to have my website up and running. I need to have my Google My Business, so on and so forth. Have these tools ready so that people can find you easier. Because now when you create that website, you know what documents to put on there because you know what documents you want to do. You know how much you're going to charge, and you know all the state knowledge pertaining to your state. So do these things in stages and steps so that way you can knock these out as efficiently as possible. Once you have the framework, once you know the steps that you're doing, bomb, 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 knock them off. What a lot of people tend to do is once they get into their first hiccup, once they get their first hiccup in business, they tend to stop at that wall and just be like, oh, shoot, yeah, I was working on my website for a month. That's a hiccup. You shouldn't be working on anything for too long, way too long, such as something like a website. When you run into that first obstacle, push through that thing or learn how to go around it or underneath it. But when you run into your first obstacle, that first thing that's slowing you down, remember and think about it as like, all right, this is an obstacle. How can I get around this obstacle as efficiently as possible? Because every puzzle that you get around, I don't even like to call them problems. Every puzzle that you end up figuring out, there's going to be a harder puzzle right after it. After every mountain is a bigger mountain. And that's how it goes. But you just get the skills to become a little bit better with climbing those mountains. That's really what happens. But anyways, back to it. After that, you're going to leverage your technology in your notary business. So that's understanding all the tools that you need. That's going to be getting your website up. That's going to be getting your payment processor up. If you need a good payment processor, watch my other videos. But you're going to have all those stuff in. After you have all the stuff to make your business flashy, fancy, that's when you move on into getting partnerships. Partnerships could be going to community events. It could be giving away free notarizations at your local church. It could be reaching out to not notary offices. It could be reaching out to attorney offices and title companies to get business. But these are other ways that you can start bringing in money for yourself now. Now you're going to these attorney offices. Now you're going to these local business meetups. This is when you're going to meetup.com. This is when you're doing free work for your church. And then in return, they start sending you business. This is when you start networking now. Boom, boom, boom. This is when you start networking. Okay, cool. And then after that point, this is when you start thinking about other streams of revenue that you can get from your notary business. So when you're starting off, I always say pick a niche in the very beginning, because I always say that the niches make riches. So for example, you have your general notary work, you have your apostilles, you have your estate planning, you have your loan signing, you have your fingerprinting, you have your power of attorneys, you have your I-9s, whatever you want to focus on, start with one first. After you get the hang and you find a way to consistently get that business coming in, after you get that business consistently coming in and you understand how to market, you understand how to network, you understand how to get your name out there, then you add another service in. Don't try to do everything at the same time. Niches are in the riches. The more fine-tuned you are in the beginning, the more you can speak directly to your audience and get the service that they need completed for them. You have a way to provide value, but when you're doing like 20 different things, you're not going to get nowhere, bro. You're not going to get anywhere. Slow your roll. Slow down. Focus on one thing at a time. When you get the hang of it, add that other stream of revenue within the same business in. And when you're doing this, it's very important that you're building all of this stuff on a foundation of solid cement. You don't want to build your notary business in a rush, but you don't want to take forever to do it. You don't want to be that guy that's working, or lady that's working on your notary business for 3 months. You don't want to be the person like, oh yeah, I'm studying for my commission for 3 months. No, it shouldn't take you that long. You're not rushing, but you're moving with haste. It could be the same thing, but you're not rushing. You're not frantically rushing. You're just trying to get things done so you can move on to the harder parts. For every level, there's a new devil. Think about it like that. So think about, I got to get past this level so I could go ahead and go to the next level. I think about it like that. I just try to jump in there, do what I need to do, move on to the next part. To throw a little bit of tips in there, I would say after the point where you set your rates and when you're building up your website and the technology things that help you out in your business, around that time is when you want to start buying your things now. This is when you want to have your stamps ready, right? This is when you want to have your notary journal. This is when you want to start getting your printer. These are the tools that you're going to need in your business. But I will say, when you're starting out this business as well as any other, you really, really, really want to make sure that you're keeping your margins or the amount of expenses that you're using in the business as low as possible. Because nowadays, when I start any business, I'm always thinking about how can I get profitable as fast as possible so I can take that profit and throw it right back into the business. So what you want to do when you come into this business, when this notary business, don't have your expenses super high. If you look down below, I have a one-on-one free guide that tells you a one-on-one free starter kit, where you can download all the supplies list. You don't need to buy all of those at the same time. Just buy the stuff that you need right away, like a stamp, journal, things like a pen, clipboard, things like that. Buy those right away. Your expenses are still going to be low, so that way when you start bringing in money from other sources, you can profit faster. But if you go in and buy all these tools at one time, now you spent $500 to $1,000 on tools, which means you have to make $500 to $1,000 in order to be in the green. Don't do that. The key in the name of the game is reinvesting the money that you get from the business back into the business. That's why when you first start a business, don't think about it like, oh yeah, this is extra income coming in. No, it's not extra income yet. It's not your side gig yet. That money is not yours. That's your baby's money. Baby being AKA your business. As soon as it comes in, move it to the side. Make sure like I'm not doing this unless it's going towards my business. And this is going to be something that helps me make my business either more efficient, more enjoyable to do, or help me make more money. Those are the 3 criteria on spending stuff for that business. Think about it like that. That's the best way to do it. But hopefully those steps made sense. Somebody can summarize it and put it below. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I'm here to help. I have one-on-ones down below, and I have a free notary kit startup bundle that you can download that'll help you out. And it'll talk about the 10 most common mistakes as a notary. The 10 most common things that people always do right there in that bundle. And also have another bundle, even more extensive, with an ebook. This is for people that are beginners, don't know what they're doing within the notary business. From step A to step Z is telling you everything you need to do, even to get a commission, no matter what state you're in. It doesn't matter. But if you need one-on-one help, you'll want me to sit down, skim through your business, tear you a new one to help you build another one. Pause. That sounded kind of weird. But if you need help like that, reach out to me in the one-on-one. I'll sit down with you, look at the gaps that you're missing in your business, which you probably can't see, to help you at least get to your first $1,000 a month and make that reoccurring as a notary business owner. So go ahead, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification, hit me up, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace, love, knowledge. I'm out.